We need to understand how it is that a free market works to enable millions of people to cooperate peacefully together. I know no better way to bring this out than by a very simple example that I owe to an old friend of mine, Leonard Reed, who once wrote a little article called I the Pencil. You know, it's a funny thing, he said, there's nobody in the world who knows how to make a pencil. Now that seems like a silly thing to say, isn't it? This is just the most obvious thing. It's only a piece of wood with something black in the middle and a little red tip at the end. What do you mean nobody knows how to make a pencil? Well, suppose you were to start to set out to make a pencil. First of all, you have to get some wood, don't you? Where do you get the wood? You have to go to the Pacific Northwest, probably, and cut down some trees. How do you cut down some trees? You have to have some saws to cut it with. Where do you get the saws? You have to have some steel. Where do you get the steel? You have to have a steel mill. So in order to know how to make a pencil, you would have to know everything there is to know about how to start from iron ore and coal and get iron and convert it into saws and cut down trees. But that's only the beginning. This black stuff in the middle that we call lead isn't lead. It's graphite. And I am told it comes from some mines in South America. This little red tip at the top, that's rubber. Where does it come from? Well, the major source of natural rubber is Malaya. Who told that fellow over in Malaya to tap his tree and send a little bit of rubber over here to put at the end of this pencil so I could have a pencil in my hand? That's the miracle of the price system. Because note, these thousands of people who have been led to engage in this simple transaction with me, not one of them has been forced to do it. Nobody has had a gun to his head. They've all done it. Why? Because each one of them thinks he's better off in this transaction. There's this terrible tendency, and most economic fallacies derive from that tendency, to think of everything as what the game theorists have come to call a zero-sum game, to think there's a fixed pie. And if I get more, you must get less.
Many people think that when Bill Gates makes $1 billion, the rest of us have $1 billion less.
The great insight behind the free market, the great insight of Adam Smith's great book, The Wealth of Nations, was that it is not a zero-sum game, that it is possible for both people to a transaction to benefit. It's very easy to see that principle operating if you think of two people under any circumstances making a voluntary deal. What happens if you or the rest of us want to get some more pencils? Well, the people who are manufacturing pencils suddenly discover that they're making some money, and they say, we better make some more pencils. Nobody has told them about that. They've just discovered it down at the corner drugstore. And they, in turn, send out some orders to people who are producing the wood, to the people who are producing the rubber. The effect of this is to raise the prices a little all the way down the line for the particular items in demand. And that higher price becomes a signal to people all over the world that there's a greater demand, a greater desire for this particular object. That information is spread. And the only people who have to know about it are the people who are in a position to provide the additional wood or the additional graphite or the additional rubber.
Prices aren't just money, they're information. The invisible hand uses the power of prices.
The beauty of the price system is that along with this information, and this is the second stage, goes an incentive to act on the basis of it. And that incentive is there because his income is ultimately going to be determined by the prices of the things he sells. These people who have cooperated with one another don't speak the same language. They're people of all different religions. They may hate one another in every respect. But this hasn't prevented them somehow or other from being led to cooperate together. It hasn't prevented some kind of a wonderful machinery from bringing together these various components all together into this little pencil. What is that machinery? What is it that has induced people to do this? How has it been brought about? That machinery is the price system. That machinery is what the story is all about. The price system enables you to have cooperation among millions of people peacefully, cooperating on one little phase of their life, Well, each one goes about his own business in respect of everything else. So long as it is working, so long as it's operating, so long as it's bringing people together, it doesn't even occur to you that it's this kind of a complicated mechanism.
I, Pencil, am only one small example of what humans can accomplish through their choices and efforts, without anyone telling them what to do, including a government. More goods and more freedom.
Freedom?
Free markets, personal freedom, and political freedom. They need each other and lead to the predictable miracle of steadily better ways of life through the price system.